The contact appears where it shouldn't. Not on a shipping lane, not near a declared exercise zone, not broadcasting identification. It's small, low, and steady, cutting across the screen with a signature that doesn't match anything logged in the system. For a moment, no one speaks. Then a second return flickers beside it. Fainter, intermittent, almost gone. Confirmed track, someone says. The system tries. The trace drops out, reappears, then splits again. Like the radar can't decide what it's seeing. One object becomes two. Two collapse back into one. The range is closing, not fast, but deliberately. This isn't drift. It isn't noise. And it isn't random. A warning tone sounds. Not loud, just sharp enough to cut through the room. The kind reserved for contacts that don't follow expected behavior. The kind that forces a decision clock to start running. Outside, nothing looks different. The sea is flat. The horizon is clean. No smoke, no launch flash, no visible threat. Inside the system, however, parameters are already being crossed. Range gates tighten, filters change, tracking priority shifts upward. Whatever this is, it's not leaving. And whatever it's doing, it's already close enough that waiting for certainty is no longer an option. The moment the classification changes, the room tightens. No alarms escalate, no voices rise, but the workflow does. The contact is no longer treated as an unknown. It's treated as a problem already in motion. Automated prompts slide onto the displays, subtle, layered, easy to miss unless you know what they mean. Sensor fusion shifts priority. Secondary feeds are pulled forward. Data that was optional seconds ago is now mandatory. The track holds steady. Range continues to close. Correlation? Negative. Intent? Undetermined. That last word lingers longer than the others. A second system attempts to build a behavior model. It fails. The contact isn't accelerating. It isn't evading. It isn't behaving the way unidentified objects usually do when they're discovered. It's maintaining course. That's what changes the tone. Buffers are recalculated in real time. What was once a wide safety margin contracts into a narrow band measured in minutes. The system projects multiple outcomes, then quietly discards the ones that rely on cooperation from the contact. One option remains dominant across every model. Assume it continues. Another indicator lights, this one tied to authority routing. Oversight shifts upward, not because anyone asked for it, but because the thresholds say it has to. Decision latency is now a liability. Outside, the sea still gives nothing away. No surface wake, no visible profile, no cue that would let a human eye resolve the threat without instrumentation. Inside, however, the clock is now explicit. Every update arrives with a timestamp. Every pause is logged. Every second that passes without action narrows the menu of choices left on the table. The contact crosses another invisible line. No announcement marks it. But from this point forward, the system is no longer asking what the object is. It's calculating what must happen if it keeps coming. The first command is issued without ceremony, not spoken aloud, not debated. A digital acknowledgement appears, then disappears, replaced by a cascade of system responses that unfold faster than anyone can track in real time. Sensors retask automatically. One feed narrows its aperture. Another drops resolution to gain refresh speed. What had been a composite picture fractures into specialized views, each optimized to answer a single question. Where is it? What is it doing? How soon does it matter? The contact reacts, not by turning away, not by accelerating, but by changing depth. The adjustment is slight, almost polite, just enough to complicate the geometry. That wasn't drift, someone says. No one disagrees. A new overlay snaps into place, drawing a corridor ahead of the contact. The corridor ends at a boundary that doesn't exist on any map visible to civilians. It's defined by response time, not geography. The object enters it anyway. Another command executes, this one tied to contingency posture. Power states shift. Latent systems wake up. Components that normally stay idle until they're needed are now brought online, tested, and held at readiness. There's no launch, no visible movement outside the hull. Everything happens internally, quietly, as if the system is trying not to attract attention. The contact holds course. A challenge protocol initiates, digital, directional, precise. It's designed to provoke a response without revealing capability. If the object is listening, it will hear it. If it isn't, that tells its own story. Seconds pass. Nothing comes back. The silence isn't empty. It's structured. The kind that suggests the absence is intentional. The system updates its confidence bands. Several assumptions drop to 0. Others spike sharply upward. One operator leans closer to the screen. It's not reacting. That's the confirmation. A final procedural gate clears. From this moment on, the system is no longer preparing. It's committed. Every subsequent action will be logged as response, not precaution. Every move forward will assume resistance, not compliance. The contact continues its steady approach. And somewhere deep in the logic tree, a decision has already been made that no human will reverse in time. The shift is subtle, but irreversible. The system stops modeling possibilities and begins enforcing outcomes. One projection dominates the display, not because it's worst case, but because it's the only one that still fits the data. Time to intercept collapses into a narrow window measured in actions, not minutes. External feeds lag behind internal state. To the outside world, nothing has happened yet. To the system, the moment for choice has already passed. A downstream safeguard triggers, not an alert, an audit marker. The kind that exists solely to record that a threshold was crossed and acknowledged. No one speaks, because now silence is also evidence. The contact reaches the edge of the response envelope. The line isn't physical. It's defined by what can still be stopped versus what must be contained. Containment protocols initialize. They are not aggressive. They are corrective, designed to limit spread, preserve options, and prevent escalation from spilling outward if things go wrong. Power is rerouted. Access paths are sealed or opened depending on what the system anticipates needing next. A new status appears on the console. Brief, clinical, unambiguous, engagement conditions satisfied. It doesn't authorize action. It confirms inevitability. At this point, even if the contact were to turn away, the sequence wouldn't unwind. The system has already committed resources, exposed capabilities, and activated oversight layers that cannot be rolled back without consequence of their own. Outside, a faint disturbance finally breaks the surface. So slight it could be mistaken for current or swell. It vanishes almost as soon as it appears. Inside, that moment is captured, indexed, and fused into the track history. Confirmation, not discovery. A final timer appears. Not a countdown, just a reference marker. A way to measure what happens next against the instant the system stopped waiting. Whatever this object is, it has forced a response without firing a shot, sending a signal, or revealing intent. And now, the cost of inaction has officially surpassed the cost of acting. From here on, every second forward will carry weight, not because something might happen, but because something already has. Only now does doctrine enter the room, not as theory, as constraint. The systems active at this stage were not built for identification. They were built to manage uncertainty at scale, to assume ambiguity is permanent, not temporary, and to act accordingly. This is the doctrinal shift that matters. Modern response doctrine no longer waits for intent to be declared. It treats trajectory, persistence, and silence as sufficient indicators, not of hostility, but of unacceptable risk. The contact has not been judged an enemy. It has been judged non-cooperative inside a protected decision space. That distinction is deliberate. Doctrine doesn't ask who controls the object. It asks whether the object respects the procedural boundaries that keep escalation contained. When it doesn't, responsibility shifts automatically, from human interpretation to system governance. This is the logic behind layered authority routing, automated posture changes, and pre-delegated response thresholds. Humans remain present, but no longer central. Their role is to supervise execution, not debate initiation. What makes this moment dangerous isn't firepower. It's compression. Decision windows that once spanned hours now collapse into minutes, sometimes seconds. Not because leaders are impatient, but because systems move faster than deliberation can safely keep up. That speed forces a redefinition of control. Who is actually in charge when a system commits before a command is spoken? Where does accountability sit when no single decision triggers escalation? Only a sequence of thresholds, each crossed correctly. Doctrine accepts this ambiguity as the price of deterrence in saturated environments, because the alternative, waiting for certainty, has already proven too slow. The implication is stark. Future confrontations may never produce a defining moment. No missile launch, no visible breach, no unmistakable act. Instead, escalation will occur quietly, procedurally, and irreversibly, long before the public ever knows something happened. And once the system commits, intent becomes irrelevant. Only outcomes remain. What this encounter demonstrates is not a failure of detection or a lapse in control. It's a transition. Conflict at the system level no longer announces itself with force. It announces itself with compliance, or the lack of it. The decisive act is not aggression, but refusal to conform to the rules that keep machines from colliding into catastrophe. The object never had to strike anything to change the balance. It only had to persist. By remaining silent, by holding course, by ignoring procedural boundaries instead of crossing physical ones, it forced the system to reveal its true priority: preserving decision dominance under uncertainty. That is the strategic shift now underway. Deterrence used to rely on visible thresholds, lines on maps, declared red zones, public warnings. Today, the most consequential thresholds are invisible, embedded deep in software, enforced long before leaders are briefed or statements are drafted. This changes how power is tested. Future actors don't need overwhelming force to apply pressure. They need patience, ambiguity, and systems capable of operating just below the level that triggers public response while still tripping internal safeguards. And defending against that doesn't look like traditional defense. It looks like resilience, faster classification, tighter authority loops, and acceptance that escalation may occur without spectacle. That outcomes may be decided before a single image ever reaches the surface. The real contest is no longer about who fires first. It's about whose systems force commitment earliest, and whose institutions are prepared to live with the consequences of letting machines decide when waiting is no longer safe. In that environment, silence is no longer neutral. It's leverage. Nothing explodes. Nothing is announced. No headline ever forms around the moment it happens. But somewhere in the system, a record now exists showing the exact second waiting stopped being an option. And in the conflicts that follow, that, quietly, will be the point everything traces back to.